Dude, Luke, the printer's still busted, man. What the fuck?
How's it going, everybody? Welcome to episode 88 of the Topless Robot podcast. My name is Ryan.
I'm surprised. No, I'm Tyler. Hi.
I am Brooks.
Dan.
And joining us this week is Rob, a.k.a. Chicken, a.k.a. CHX42. Just pick a name. There's lots of them. Good friend of mine from a long time ago when he was in a band called She Likes Todd, went on to join and found a band with the infamous Mr. Dan Precision from 88 Fingers Louie called Set Fire to Reason, and is now speedrunning games and holds the world record in several categories for the original Metroid in NES, and speedruns Smash TV as well. So welcome to the podcast, Chicken, Rob, CHX.
We got fun and games.
Cool, man. Whatever one you want to call me. How's it going, everybody?
So how you been, man? It's been a long fucking time.
It's been good. Just, hanging out in my house like everybody else right now at these weird times, not working, playing video games like every day. So
nice.
Not bad.
Could be worse.
There are worse ways to spend a quarantine.
Oh, for sure.
Like going to restaurants without wearing a mask?
By protesting it. That's the worst way.
American, I can get infected with a disease if I want to. It's the free country.
So I know that you were back probably, I remember learning of your love for gaming and NES and stuff like that when I stayed at your place once when I drove down to Chicago to see Dr. Manhattan, if I remember right, and I crashed at your place. And I had no idea that you were super into, you were a collector and you were super into, this, NES games and shit like that. So were you into speedrunning then, or is this a more recent kind of thing that you've started doing?
It's actually kind of a cool story. A couple years ago, I was working and I broke my collarbone. So I was out of work for 5 months. I got a plate and 12 screws put in.
Ooh, wow, brutal.
And it was brutal. And I couldn't do anything.
Your definition of a cool story and my definition are very different. Anyway.
Yeah. Cool. I don't know.
Painful. Sure.
It's a story. So, I couldn't do anything. I was just sitting at home, and I started watching world record videos on the internet, and I stumbled onto speedrun.com, where you could start surfing through and finding them all. So I started watching all those, and I was like, wow, this is crazy. I'm pretty good at Mario. I can probably put up a time somewhere in the middle. Started playing that for a while, and then there's this guy, Summoning Salt. He makes world record progression videos of all of the different games that all the different retro games, and he goes through the history of how the world records have developed and how they've progressed over years and whatnot. So about 2 years ago, he did one on Metroid, and I was watching that, and I was just like, this game is awesome. I'm going to do this game, and then I ended up just playing it for a year and a half straight. So,
goddamn.
Oof.
So how did you?
It takes to speedrun, though. The sheer amount of time you got to invest in a single game is crazy.
Yeah, no kidding.
I just want to point out that you were literally the opposite of Ryan.
I play a game for about 5 minutes. That's what I call a speed run. I buy a new game, I play it for 5 minutes, go, okay, I'm done with that, and move on to the next one.
Speedrun is how quick can he get tired of a game?
we don't ask Ryan what games has he played. We ask Ryan how many games he's played more than an hour of.
And to be fair, it's not before I get bored. It's how long before another game distracts me. So
yeah, I got like the opposite. Like I got like OCD out the wazoo. So like once I start seeing that I can like actually do something in a game, I just kind of have to.
I'm starting to get that with select titles. Like I recently restarted Celeste, and with the intent of 100%ing Celeste. So there are some games like that where I'm just so enamored with them that I could play it for fucking ever and need to get every last little bit.
Yeah, I mean, when you start getting into like trying to get to world record times in games and stuff like that, if there's a lot of people playing in competition, usually the person with that record is like very focused on that one game or a very few select games. They get their hooks on them on one game.
Yeah.
It's rare that you find someone that's just like across the board destroying everything.
So have you decided that Metroid is going to be your one, or are there other games where you're like, maybe I could move on to this or that or whatever?
I mean, I got like a short list of games I'm looking at. Like I'm 2 seconds away from doing sub 5 in Mario Brothers. So
Jesus.
That's the next goal. I do Marble Madness. I'm like 13th place in the world in that one.
Oh shit.
Which that game, I couldn't even beat that when I was a kid. So it was just like amazing to even like beat the game, and then you just get, like I said, obsessed with it and keep going. But then like, I just basically have like a bunch of like more popular retro titles, like, Mario Brothers games, Zelda, Mega Man games. I'm going to go through and see what like gets their hooks in me.
Right on. You are now the second person I know in the Chicagoland area who has a world record in a video game, in speedrunning a video game. Yours is speedrunning, hers is score, I think. My friend Caitlin has had world record for Splatterhouse Arcade.
Which says a lot for Chicago. Why are all these people trying to escape their realities in Chicago?
It must be bad enough for them to try to escape reality into Splatterhouse. Jeez.
They're like, man, this sucks. Splatterhouse seems like a better reality.
I kind of want them to remake that into something more insane.
Just fully realistic 2.5D detail.
Oh yeah,
that would be pretty amazing.
I want to hit things with the plank with the nail in it and just watch them explode like right in front of my eyes.
They can call it the Chicago edition.
So, I know that you said that you have gone to AGDQ in the past. Do you do runs or have any plans to do runs at any GDQ? Obviously not soon, but
well, they have submissions opened right now. Actually, I think their submissions are closed, but they planning one in August. I don't know if it's going to actually happen. It was supposed to happen in June. They pushed it back. We'll see if they push it back again. So I've submitted for that, and I submitted for a few other marathons. I did a few Corona relief marathons over the last month. I did one for GDQ, actually.
Oh, nice.
And
hell yeah.
Which was really cool. They raised like $400,000 in 60 hours.
Hell yeah.
So that was cool. And then I did like Calathon did one. There's a Midwest Speed Fest. They do a couple of events a year. So I mean, I just kind of like have been like, since I have time now, looking into more events, and then I'm in the middle of a Smash TV tournament right now, a Super Smash TV tournament.
Nice.
Oh, awesome!
Which, if you like that game, like the Super Smash TV races are some of the most fun races to watch because the RNG in that game is insane. So you'll get like 10 top level runners, and you'll have no idea who's going to win because RNG is a huge factor.
Mm.
I remember getting the Midway Arcade game bundle on the PS2, and it had Smash TV on it, and I just played it non-stop forever when I was a kid. That was like one of my favorite. It was like obviously not my number one game, but like, God, that game's amazing. And when Ryan posted that in our group chat for like getting this thing started, like I was like, oh my God. I mean, I even thought about Smash TV in like a decade at least.
It's like one of those games, like a lot of people don't know it at all, but then the people that liked that game love that game because I mean,
It's a great game.
the concept is really
weird.
it's simple, but it's fun to just shoot things constantly.
Yeah, I remember enjoying it when I was a kid, but I haven't really like actively thought about it in a long time.
Yeah, it's really funny. I was actually at AGDQ and I was hanging out with a bunch of people. They have like a practice room and a game room where you can just hang out. They have CRTs everywhere. You can like bring whatever consoles, rent consoles, play games. It's awesome.
Nice.
So we're hanging out there. We're just playing games and we're looking through random games. And Smash TV NES was on my. I have like a power pack, if you know what those are.
Mhm.
So we're playing that, and I got really interested in this game because the controls on NES are super weird. Like you play the game, you play one player, two controllers is the ideal way to play, and you turn both controllers 90 degrees clockwise, and then you hold them like Wii controllers and use just the D-pads.
Huh.
Ugh.
Oh,
Wait.
wow.
Wait. Nintendo with a weird control scheme? My mind is blown. My mind is I would never have expected.
Just goes back
Exactly.
so far, though. This is on the NES. I mean, we didn't realize how they were changing the game back then, even.
So yeah, I mean, that was like because like if you play the game with one controller, the arcade had two joysticks, so you could do like 360 walking, 360 shooting at the same time. With an NES, you only have two buttons to control firing, so you can't do 360 shooting. So their workaround was to use two D-pads,
Interesting.
and they made them turn sideways so you could hold them and it play the game.
Huh.
So now I was like playing this, and I'm like, so somebody could play like 4 controllers at once on this game if they wanted to, and do like 1 player 4 controllers and play 2 people. And over like 2 months, I figured out how to do that. So now I have the world record in the NES Smash TV, and 1 player 4 controllers is the fastest time. It's faster than the 1 player, and it's faster than the 2 player.
Jesus.
So wait, so you hold a world record for playing a game with all of your limbs?
And I mean, like, I hold like that record like by myself, but it's also the record for the game, just period.
That's awesome.
Jesus.
But,
I mean, actually, here I have the thing I made. I had to make a controller for this.
oh
Okay.
god.
Watch the card. Watch the card.
This is about to be wild.
I'm expecting like stirrups.
I'm expecting like special shoes.
So this is what it is. It's 2 NES Advantages, and they turned them sideways and mounted them to this board, and then put a footrest over it like that. So you can play both of these with your feet like joysticks.
Oh my god.
Oh,
And now-
wow.
This is like one character, this is another character. My feet will walk them, and then my hands would like shoot the opposite characters.
Oh my
I thought-
god.
I thought you were joking about using all limbs. Holy shit, you're actually using all 4 of your limbs. That's incredible.
Oh, yeah, there's like video online of it.
Multi-track drifting.
It's kind of crazy, man. Like when I started, like I, just kind of like was like, oh, maybe I can do this and get through it. And it was like, you just like put one dude in the corner and like you don't really do very much shit. But by the end of this, I'm like literally like walking both the characters now, and I've like come up with strategies for how to like control your brain to like figure out what you're doing and stuff. It's stupid. I spent like 2 months on it. So
You remember
Wow.
how I was talking like earlier before we went live about the whole like not being able to sing and play bass at the same time, and you can, and you're like, oh yeah, no, it's just because they're usually not writing the harmony as well, and you just it's some creative writing in between the two. Yeah. By the way, I also taught myself how to control the movement of 2 separate characters with my feet while I shoot with my hands.
yeah,
What?
okay.
Using a custom controller that I built myself.
I might have some skills. Okay, I don't know.
What's the meme response to what he said in that pre-show? A doubt?
Yeah.
Also, Ryan, you have to remember that speedrunners are usually like certifiably insane. The amount of dedication that goes in is crazy.
Yeah. Yeah. And I don't think I'm insulting anyone by saying yes. Chicken is certifiably insane. Absolutely.
Yeah, I pretty much say that a lot when I stream.
Wouldn't it kind of been more funny if he was like, hold on, that actually is really insulting in this game? Like, how dare you say that to me? My aunt is insane.
So
Ryan knows.
Yeah, back in so I think we first met in 2007, and actually, She Likes Todd, the band that you had at the time, was the first band that I had ever had crash at my place. Because you had played the Clinic the night before, which was down the street from my apartment. And it ended up starting a trend of basically anytime any band, any friend's band or whatever is through town, or any band needs a place to crash. Since then, basically, I have put up bands nonstop because I've made great friendships through it all, and met you and all the other guys, and She Likes Todd, and so many awesome people through it. So, I mean, I guess PSA to everyone. Touring bands often don't have a place to crash. Let them sleep on your floor. It's a life-changing experience, and it's a lot of fun. And make them breakfast the next day.
Learning and growing.
Yeah, cool, man. I think the Gusto set that up for us, and Andy just couldn't put us up or something. He's like, I'll set you up the show, but I can't really help you out. And we ended up just hanging out and being like, oh, you're a cool dude. Let's fucking chill.
Hell yeah.
That's all it took.
Yeah, that was a lot of fun.
I have to ask really quick. How did the band name She Likes Todd come about?
I think basically we just were throwing around a bunch of names. Someone like that acronym. I mean, we were in high school, and this was we were 15 years old, and I think that somebody just said that was as a name. That was our drummer. Our drummer's I like that name, and then it just was the one that stuck, and we never changed it.
So no one actually liked Todd.
No one likes Todd. Everyone likes Todd. That's right. He was actually over earlier today. So,
I think one of my favorite memories is you guys played at the Clinic, and then there was a late show that was some psychedelic band or something. And you guys hadn't gotten paid yet, so you had to hang out. And so we're all just hanging out in your van, and everyone kind of decides that they're hungry, and we drive down the street to the Burger King, and Kyle, the jackass that he is, gets out of the van and starts just fucking around while we're in the drive-thru. And we go to pull around, and I can't remember who was driving, but whoever it was fucking brake checked, and Kyle slammed into the back of the van, just full on slammed into the back of the van, yeah. And legit injured himself, if I remember right.
Jesus.
Hey, Todd was an asshole like that.
But it was
goddamn Todd.
So funny. It was so funny. But yeah, those were good times. The Clinic.
I just remember trying to do backflips in your living room.
Oh yeah, I made a video of that.
At all.
I made a video of that set to Against All Authorities, All Fall Down on that giant beanbag chair that I had, doing flips into that.
Yeah, Vince would go and he looked like he almost get it. Then I'd go and no, not even close.
No.
It's okay. I can't do a backflip either. In fact, I would never even bother trying because my injury history would tell me that I'd probably die, to be honest.
Well, I mean, Tyler, what you do when you have a giant beanbag chair is you are assured the safety of your landing, and so you can take greater risks.
Ryan, you know me. It doesn't matter.
Sounds good in theory.
Do a flip, Tyler. Just do a flip.
No.
Do a flip.
Everyone knows me. I'll find a way. There may not be a way to hurt myself.
Just flip the fuck out.
Life finds a way.
Yeah. So some things happened this week. I want to start with the TurboGrafx 16 Mini finally came out. I pre-ordered that back in September, and it finally basically because of the coronavirus and everything like that, it was delayed. I was supposed to get it in January, but I got an email that it was delayed until next January, which sucked. And then I just got an email like last week, like, hey, we're going to ship this to you. So I got very excited. And so that's what I've been doing since yesterday. It arrived yesterday. And holy shit, like, so the TurboGrafx 16 is definitely the system that I have the least experience with growing up. One friend of mine growing up had a TurboGrafx 16, and it was a neat little system, but that was pretty much it. I think I played it that one time that I had a sleepover at his house, but that was it, and never really thought about it a ton. But I've been playing this thing. This is my favorite of the mini consoles. Like, there's so much. It's got the TurboGrafx 16 games, which are, I mean, the US release TurboGrafx 16 games are kind of generic.
Like Bonk.
I mean, Bonk is fun. I wouldn't necessarily call it a generic. Like, the closest analog would be what, Joe and Mac?
I'm thinking Adventure Island, the one with the skateboarding caveman guy.
That's Adventure Island.
Yeah,
Adventure Island. Yeah, I think that's more on the generic spectrum.
Yeah, Bonk was more like set up to be a console mascot kind of thing, and so those are.
This is our Mario.
Yeah, pretty much. He's a caveman who like gets super angry when he eats meat, and then his attack is headbutting everything, including when you jump and you hit attack, you dive bomb with your head.
He looks like a feral Charlie Brown.
Yes.
And the game is just so fucking bizarre. There's no way it was ever going to be like the new thing.
Yeah. I don't know.
So
I mean,
weird.
When you talk conceptually about Mario Brothers, that's kind of bizarre. Like, especially at the time, it's just
this is a different kind of bizarre. Like, it is not the same kind of bizarre as Mario.
Well, it's more like Awesome Possum kicks Dr. Machino's butt.
I mean, Mario's really not that weird if you really think about it. The weirdest part is that he's a plumber. If you take the plumber part out of the equation, it's not that weird.
I guess.
Dude goes to a kingdom to save a princess from a bad guy and jumps on things to kill them. That's
I mean, what did they have going on before that though? Like you have a tank or like a spaceship, or you hit a ball with a paddle or something,
and here you're just some dude going through pipes jumping on creatures' heads.
Yeah, so
which is kind of bizarre, like considering I feel like there was a long run of trying to recreate things that people were familiar with, like concepts that people were familiar with, right? Like Pitfall. Okay, we're going to make Indiana Jones the game. F1 racing, those kinds of things, like things that are analogous to something that people are familiar with, that like either representation of sci-fi, sure. But here you've got a plumber who is in a magical land trying to save a princess
from a turtle.
From a turtle.
And he crushes the spines of all who oppose him with his steel-toed boots.
We should definitely have a series about like just poorly describing a game.
So
like, hold right.
On TurboGrafx 16, it's got two sides. TurboGrafx 16 releases, which are the US released games, and then PC Engine, which is what it was called in Japan, which has and it was called a variation of that in basically every other market. And the PC Engine games.
They called it. Hold on a second. They called it PC Engine in Japan.
Yeah,
that was the name of the. Why?
I don't know. I'm sure that there's some explanation out there for it, but I don't know off the top of my head. But why call it TurboGrafx in US?
Well, at least there's a like some kind of marketing aspect to that. Turbo graphics, like
crossover in their creative department.
Yeah, right.
PC PC Engine, they're just like, hey, there's a,
Well, I mean, they were
computer engine.
they were owned by or developed by NEC, right?
Yeah, NEC and Hudson.
Yeah, and I know that NEC mostly does like PC parts and shit like that, right? Yeah, so maybe them calling it the PC Engine was just everyone knows our brand because we sell parts. Right. Look at this whole box of parts we made.
But yeah, some of the generic titles.
The parts together.
Let me. I'm going to go through the TurboGrafx 16 side of game titles here, and you guys tell me what this game is. Right? Alien Crush.
You crush
aliens.
Oh wait, no.
Alien Data
Collects. Damn it, you beat me to it.
It's a pinball game.
Oh.
Okay.
Blazing Lasers.
The shmup.
Yeah. Dungeon
Blazer.
Explorer. Like all these covers are the most generic fucking things ever.
A roguelite dungeon crawler.
I don't even think it's a roguelite. It's just a dungeon crawler. Moto Rotor.
Ride motorcycles.
in a pinball game.
It's actually their, if I remember right, that is their. Oh no, yeah, I have not played Moto Rotor yet, so I think you're right. Power Golf, the only thing with an actual picture of a golfer on the front. Like the entire cover is just a golfer hitting out of the sand, like an actual picture of some golfer, and it's just called Power Golf.
I'd hope that it would. I'd hope that that's the only game with an actual golfer on the front, and be really confusing if any of these other games had an actual
Unless
golfer.
they're also golf games.
Yeah, but you don't name them that.
We haven't even determined if this is a golf game yet.
It is in fact a golf game. And then of course there's R-Type.
It's actually a trivia game.
Victory Run.
It's a knockoff of Track and Field.
It's a good guess. No, it is their oh fuck, what's the
Is it a platformer?
what's that super synthy car driving racing?
Oh, Outrun.
Outrun. Yeah, it's an Outrun clone.
Oh, okay.
Chu Man Fu.
It's a side-scrolling
Beat 'em up.
non-beat 'em up.
No, it is a puzzle game where you play a girl in a maze with multicolored balls and porcupines or hedgehogs.
It was so obvious.
You have to push the corresponding color ball onto the corresponding switch in order to complete the stage. If you push the ball against the barriers enough, and the balls bounce a lot, so when you push it, like, you can either kind of push it along or give it a good push. If you give it a good push, it'll bounce right back into you and knock you around. And you can push it into the walls a few times to break the walls. But it is actually quite difficult.
I'm having a really hard time figuring out why this console failed.
Well, now keep in mind, these are the American titles.
Hi again.
JJ and Jeff.
J.J. Abrams and some dude named Jeff decided that they wanted to make a game.
J.J. Abrams and DJ Jazzy Jeff came together to do one of those like CC Music Factory interactive Sega CD
One of those
games.
Don Zito games?
Yeah.
The video game that they loosely based got him to the Greek off of.
Apparently, it is you control two detectives, and nothing makes sense. You lose health by kicking. I fired it up once, and it is not good.
A game. It is a game.
Military
I hope
Madness.
It's gonna be a top-down like tank game.
Yeah, something like that. I haven't actually fired that up yet. And then there's Newtopia. Newtopia is at least like known.
Is it?
I thought so. It's an RPG.
Anyone that I know.
Is that like a SimCity clone or?
No, it's an RPG.
Oh,
Ninja Spirit.
Ninja
I do know.
Gaiden ripoff.
I don't know. I haven't opened that one either.
Jesus, you're not qualified to ask these questions.
I've been
Ryan.
spending
This
all
is
the
the best
time.
person.
I've been spending all the time, but like the point is that these are all pretty generic titles, like, and that Space Harrier's on here.
He just wanted help. He's like, guys, try to guess these titles for me because I don't know what these fucking games are.
New Adventure Island. And New Adventure Island, the cover is only a gradient backdrop with 3D text in the center, and that's it. There's no graphic. It's just a blue gradient backdrop and 3D text.
So
I think
why
that's
is this
radical.
your favorite mini console? This all sounds really bad.
Because once you go to the
Because it's
PC
new.
engine, once you go to the PC engine side, you've got Castlevania Rondo of Blood. You've got Gradius 1, 2, and Salamander, which is technically a Gradius game. You've got just so many, like, all these games are badass. All the games on the PC Engine side are really, really good. You've got the arcade version of Ghouls and Ghosts. You've got and Splatterhouse is on here. Salamander is, you can actually a hidden feature on this. If you hold select when you start up Salamander, you get the arcade ROM instead of the console ROM. There's a 16-bit Ninja Gaiden. Snatcher's on here, but it's in Japanese. Playing like
Brooks is displeased.
especially when you think about the time that these games came out, like this is a contemporary of both the NES and the Super Nintendo, and then they added a disc system and stuff like that. I believe that their disc system, actually I know their disc system predated Sega CD. And so some of these have full, well-voiced, dialogue and killer soundtracks, like really good soundtracks. I'm actually probably after the podcast, I'm going to stream some gameplay in some of these games. Lords of Thunder has like a legitimately kick-ass soundtrack, and it's a lot of fun.
Fucking rules.
But yeah, just in general, like the interface is mostly similar to the other mini, consoles. But like when you select a game, it actually shows the little card going in. Or if it's a CD game, it actually shows and plays the sound of the CD spinning up before going into the game. And it's little details and
that's cute.
it's very, very
cute.
cool. Very, very good. And, priced pretty much the same as all the other ones. It's about $100. So, except obviously for the PlayStation Mini, which is, I don't know, $10 at this point.
It's garbage.
Yes.
That's what you get when you make a shit console.
Okay. So I would recommend it, especially if you're not very familiar with PC Engine or TurboGrafx-16 titles, because you'll find familiarity here that you didn't expect to find, and it's going to be new to you. So
Interesting.
yeah, that is how I've spent most of today and yesterday.
What did I
Cool.
spend? Oh, I spent the last few days with Epic Store has been releasing some pretty sweet games for free in the last couple weeks.
That's
and,
right.
Civilization 6 was just released as a free game this past week, and I've spent way too
Boo.
much time.
Not a Civ 6 fan?
Civ 5 is superior in every way.
I haven't even played anything since 5.
5 is good. 6 is also really fun and also great if you want it for free. It's a free game. It's a game that came out within the last couple of years for free.
Yeah, it's not even a bad game. It's just, any time I would just rather play Civ 5. Guaranteed.
Is 6 the one that people are reading about recently with a female leader or something, or is that like previews of an upcoming Civilization?
I have heard nothing about that, so I have no idea.
Yeah, apparently
Not
there's.
Why would that even make sense? I mean, every Civ game has had female leaders. Like a large portion of the leaders are female.
I don't know all the details. I just know
fitty-fitty.
that some people are complaining about like some leader being turned into a female leader or something like that, or like I can't even remember. All I know is that it has to do with the fact that there's this female leader and being added or some shit, and people are losing their minds because they're idiots.
No,
I bet it's not even that many people. This sounds like something that
the loud
nobody
minority.
actually gives a fuck about.
It's the incels of the nation. That I tried to give them a good trade, but they wouldn't even be my sexual partner in the game. I gave them 30 gold per turn, and they wouldn't fuck me. I'm a good guy.
Good.
No, 6 does have Sean Bean doing voices for most of the.
Sean Bean.
Yes, it's fantastic. He
Does
doesn't
he
even
die?
die.
I was gonna say.
Then it must be a shit game.
There's not an opportunity for him to die. Though it would be great if there was like a moment that you discover like national monument or like a natural wonder and he falls off a cliff. This is Mount Everest, the tallest.
You discover archery, and then a bunch of archers line up and shoot him to death.
Every time. They should get Sean Bean to play Dirk the Daring in the Dragon's Lair movie if they want to do.
Actually, I think isn't Ryan Reynolds supposed to be doing that?
Yeah, Ryan Reynolds is slated for that.
See, what they should have done for Sean Bean in Civ 6 is literally every time you uncover a new technology that gives you new weaponry, they give you a scene of Sean Bean being murdered by that new weaponry. It's like, we will demonstrate its effectiveness on Sean Bean.
And then every time they just repeat that scene from Fellowship of the Ring. I would have followed you, my friend, Mike.
It doesn't matter, like, as he's being pelted with arrows, but you just discovered muskets, they just add the sound effect of guns going on.
You discover nuclear technology.
A mushroom cloud.
Just badly chopped into the background.
There was a great hot take on Epic giving away these games that popped up in the hard drive. Obviously, people, share ridiculous hot takes that they find, whatever, in the hard drive hangout. I don't even know what is. Okay, good. It's since they change the fucking group name all the time. But
It's kind of annoying.
God, someone was talking about Epic Games giving away games and how it is communist Russia or something like that.
Oh, for fuck's sake.
It was serious, and it was like not an ironic comparison. It was, oh, wow. I mean, it was comparing direct comparisons to the actions of communist Russia, I think, or communist Russia or communist China.
If you give away video games for free, it's communism. But if I pirate them online and still don't pay, that's capitalism.
No, that's
All these
too
assholes
real.
are fucking pirating games anyway.
If I seed a game for free, a man will
God,
not learn. But if
I wish
teach
I
a man
could-
to make a game,
That's the free market because other people are giving it to me, not companies.
I really wish I could find this fucking hot take. It's so ridiculous.
I mean, most hot takes are super stupid.
Oh, here we go. Yes. Posted in r/Civ6 on Reddit. Free on Epic? Wow, just downloaded it. I can't believe it. I can't stand Epic, but then they do something like this. Dang. Here's a comment on that. Yes, I remember that trick. It happened in China during the revolution. CCP gave out free land, free money, etc. to everyone and told them the producers are more noble than consumers, like Epic did. The people believed it and gave them control, which is why I will still buy it on Steam. I would hate to eventually pay with my rights instead of my money.
Wow.
Whoa, I can't believe that, but I just haven't heard
Brain.
stupid shit like
That's
that.
a brain right there.
Yeah.
We share the planet with fucking galaxy brains like that.
I know, man.
But
real
honestly,
humbling.
I mean, they had GTA 5 for free last week, and now it's Civ 6, and then we'll see because it's all happening during their mega sale. They're giving away a big free game pretty much every week. So we'll see what next week's is.
The stupid thing is, like, this is basically what Steam did when Steam first started taking off. They didn't give away free games, but everyone remembers the good old days of Steam sales where you were getting games from the last year for like $2, and it was insane. And
This is gonna lead to them just whipping us. Everybody plays a game. Everybody plays a game. You have to play our games.
You gave the producers rights and now you must consume.
must no continue.
There is no massacre in Final Fantasy VII.
How dare you alter the history books? Though we do have our own reasons to have beef, or not necessarily have beef, but be concerned with Epic, considering a majority stockholder in Epic is Tencent, which is becoming a huge media presence in China. Like they're technically a South African-based company with Chinese interests. And so when the Chinese government complains about a thing, Tencent can use their money to put leverage on people like Epic to censor their stuff for the Chinese audience, which we're against. But Epic is also Epic. They made fucking Unreal Tournament, man. Like, I've been playing that shit forever.
Smells like communism to me.
Unreal Tournament's the game that made me realize that I suck at first-person shooters.
I definitely suck at first-person shooters, but I have many a fond memory of being terrible in Unreal Tournament at LAN parties in my youth, and it was great. It was a lot of fun.
I had a whole bunch of religious neighbors that their parents wouldn't let them play games. So I felt like a god when I played Medal of Honor. Front line on my GameCube with them. I'm like, yeah, 1-on-4, eat it. And now, like today, I'm just like, well, I'm not good at these games.
I'm just here for the single player story mode, guys.
I remember how resistant I was to play a first-person shooter on console because I had gotten so acclimated to keyboard and mouse that playing a first-person shooter with a controller was just out of the fucking question. Like, no, no, that's dumb. But I mean, I guess I've kind of gotten used to it. I still prefer keyboard and mouse, but
everyone does.
Not me.
It depends on how lazy I'm feeling. Like, if I will easily cave to laziness and deal with a controller if it means lying on my couch in the living room and playing on the big screen. If I am actually trying to make like significant progress in a thing or something like that, I'll do keyboard and mouse, but that does not happen often.
Ryan, you cave to laziness? Never.
Such an industrious young man like yourself.
Yeah. Lazy is a way of life. I have committed to it. What else happened this past week? I know there's been all kinds of dumb. So We unfortunately had our own act. You mentioned, Tyler, incels earlier. We had our own little mini act of incel terrorism here in Arizona over the past week.
Not only mini act, but the first time that's been actually referenced.
I found it super
terrorism.
Well, no. So our media has not referred to it as incel terrorism. The week prior, Canada had an incel shoot up a coffee shop, and they are trying him for incel terrorism.
That's what you're right.
But it's interesting to see our media now using the term incel and trying to clarify to the common populace what involuntarily celibate means.
Oh, we're gonna see some really bad PSAs like on local TV, aren't we?
I don't know, man. I feel like we've moved past that as a civilization. It was funny. Jasmine came in and was talking about because this guy live streamed his little spree in Glendale, and
at Westgate, right? It was at Westgate.
At Westgate. And she said that he was standing over a girl he had just shot, was screeching about society, and she was like, "Whatever, you just shot me. I don't have anything to do with that." And I just kind of offhandedly, I'm like, "Oh, he's an incel," and went about, and she thought I was making a joke until like everything about him came out. And it's like, yeah, no, the whole screeching about society thing is an incel trope. He could not be more stereotypical.
Dude, just imagine being such a dick for brains that your inability to get laid drives you to shoot people. Like, are you kidding me?
And you'll notice
you derive your self-worth so heavily from stuff like that you think you're supposed to go shoot people? What the fuck?
And it something that I just thought about, these red pillars and whatever. I've seen plenty of men's rights activists who are women. I don't see incels who are women, even though the term itself was originally in V-cells, and it was created by a woman in Canada. And it was not what it has now come to become. If I remember correctly, it was the term itself was coined by a lesbian woman in Canada to describe kind of her life experience or something like that. There's a lot more details behind it than that. And it ended up getting co-opted by what is essentially a bunch of fucking baby feels men's rights activists. So you never see a woman who gets, and this is going to be, it probably sounds sexist of me, but you never see a woman who is so frustrated that she can't get laid, that she kills people. That she feels that she needs to go out and kill every happy couple that she sees.
Yeah, I don't know of any examples, so
it's become this stupid, toxic, male bullshit, and it just, they feed in their echo chambers on Reddit and fucking 4chan and shit like that. And it's just gross. It's gross.
I feel like partially, I don't, again, not a sexist thing. It's just like the fuel of your rage goes in a different direction. A lot of
like a man can focus that rage out to the whole world, but a woman will focus it on one man.
Yeah.
Or crafts. Honestly, men need to get better at focusing their rage into productive activities.
Dude, that's the only reason I'm still alive. You just focus your rage into something productive. That's all you have to do. It's not hard. I'm angry about stuff all the time.
Yeah, I've broken probably 12 controllers now, but now I'm building new controllers. So there you go.
And when you get angry, you break controllers. You don't shoot people.
Yes.
There's a big difference. There's a huge difference.
Yep.
Yeah, punch a bag.
Towards things, not people.
Yeah. Yeah.
Something you can learn from a young age. That's why I have no GameCube controllers left from my early days.
Yeah.
I have never broken a controller in Rage.
Nor have I.
One time.
A few.
Broke one yesterday in Rage.
He broke one while playing on this podcast.
So tell me the story, Chicken, about this new controller that you've had made for you. Or that is someone made for you? What's the story behind that?
So this is the controller.
Titanium reinforced.
This is the controller that was made. It's by Sacred Oils, which is a company that's being started by Skunky, who is the world record holder in like all the Ninja Turtle games.
Oh Lord, that's a very sad life that he's devoted himself to.
As you all see, that controller is made out of adamantium.
So like, it's nothing about it like really looks different except the buttons are like, colored, whatever. But like what he does is he gets controllers, he boils down like the boards or whatever, like it cleans everything, boils down the cases, and then they get conductive paint and they repaint all the conductors on the boards and the buttons, so the conductivity is like perfect. He tests them all out. He tests out the the D-pad for control and whatever, and then he sends them out to people. And like he just does this. He does them like custom for whoever wants them. Right now he's back ordered, so I don't think he's like taking orders or anything. But
yours has a special feature on it that I noticed you're not making use of. The strap hole.
Oh yeah, I haven't added the strap yet. I got it. Okay, so I had him throw a hole in so I could put a Wii wristband on it, so I don't break it.
Throw it.
I was like, dude, if you're gonna get me like a custom controller, I throw controllers constantly. Like this is not gonna be a good like mix. So I had him put a Wii strap on there. I have to add it in.
Now what's going to happen is you're going to try and throw it and give yourself a concussion because it's going to whip back and hit you in the forehead. Like.
Yeah, I mean, I got to learn somehow, right?
I have a question. What is your worst moment of game rage?
Oh, man.
What was your biggest freak out? Yeah.
Yeah, your biggest freak out. You gotta give us a story here.
I mean, I usually rage. I rage more like, okay, it's like Metroid is like the worst game for dropping inputs. It drops and eats inputs like all the fucking time. So I'll rage really hard if I'm playing for a long time and like an input gets dropped and I like mess up something huge. But like first time I went to beat Smash TV, I raged pretty hard. I don't know, man. Like not even like a moment. It's like I've raged and I'll just throw a controller. I've broken 2 TVs now. I've broken my screen on my laptop twice. What else? I punched the top of my Nintendo. I'm like, my Nintendo has like no top to it. It's like 80% of a console. I took a Metroid card out and threw it into a wall and blew it up. I mean, I don't know, man.
So
there's a lot of moments.
there's only the one question I have, especially for like speedrunning. Has there been a time where you've had such like egregiously bad RNG in a game that it just like it defies belief? You had an RNG that's so bad that you just don't believe it.
Well, I see, like I play games with really bad RNG, so I kind of believe it.
Yeah, okay, that's fair. But it's like this, I'm just supposed to get fucked over.
But like Super Smash TV is by far the worst RNG game I've ever played. Period. Mm-hmm. Like the run that I'm doing right now, I beat the game in 5:41. Okay, the boss fight in a 6-minute run. That boss fight is like 84 seconds in my best run. It's taken me 3 minutes to beat that boss just because of drops.
That's rough. Okay,
so
there's
like my average time is 50 seconds over my best time. So like it's basically like you get to the end and you hope the game lets you win.
Ouch. Yeah. See, I don't think I could do that. Like I've like toyed around with speedrunning a few games, but the ones that I go for never have like heavy RNG, if any RNG at all.
It's like a different mindset. Like when you're playing a game with no RNG, then it's basically on you, so it's skill based, and it's like you can like have more of a definition of what you can do in that game. This game is like playing a slot machine, but you pay it with skill, and you don't get to, and you don't get to pick when the fucking pull the lever either. It pulls the lever random for you, and then you have to, once you pull the lever, you have to like execute immediately. You have to react and execute. The RNG in that game is based, like weapon drops are based on your location, the number of bullets you fire, and what's the other thing? Oh, your points. So
it can at least be like influenced. It'd just be really hard.
There's like theories for manipulation in that game, but it's pretty much not like real time viable. Human viable.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
I'd be curious to see some weird like TAS RNG manipulation on a game like that. That'd be fucking wild.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, I think there is one for that. That's insane.
Okay, I'll have to check that out.
Yeah.
I pose that same question to everyone else in the group. What's the worst that you've ever just raged at a game? Like the one that had the worst effect, or just like one that you just fucking were just sitting there stewing and screaming for a while?
The final boss in Mega Man X4 when I was a teenager. It just...
It's a fucking hard boss.
Yeah, and it's one of those things where I just like, that was when I came the closest to like breaking some shit for sure. I definitely like kind of like roughed up some shit a little bit, just like
It's also like you've gone through so much to get to those points in the game, and now you're there.
Yeah, and it's that last phase is just so cheap.
The best part is if you dump all your sub tanks, you can't get them back unless you game over and refill them and come back in.
I feel like this one is just because it's fresh in my memory, or it's been refreshed in my memory because I've been playing Castlevania Rondo of Blood. Fleamen in any Castlevania game are the worst fucking enemy. They're so goddamn annoying. They just
for me,
they hop around, and then they do their little hops, and then they do big hops, and they're all over the place. And so like your field of hit is this, thin thing that they're either always just above or just below in their fucking spasmodic movement around the screen.
Jesus, that sucks. How about you, Dan?
I don't know. I'm thinking really hard on this one because, like, I don't like scream or damage things. I seethe in silence for weeks. It's
the one that made you seethe in silence for the one that hurt you most.
He didn't speak for a year.
I don't even know if it hurt me the most, but like for how much of like a huge Souls game guy I am, like I had a really hard time getting into the series at first. Like I didn't really know what to expect. I was only playing on recommendations by my friends, so I picked up the first Dark Souls, and like I don't know what it was. I hated it. Like from the moment I played it, I fucking hated that game. And I got a couple bonfires in and I closed it, and I don't think I played it again for like a year. And then I don't know what changed. I came back and opened the game and I was like, holy shit, this game fucking rocks. And that was it. Like that's how I started liking Dark Souls. I couldn't even explain how I did. Like I just stopped playing it for a year, and then I opened it up and I was like, fuck, this game's incredible. That's it.
You guys
so I just had a year of angry silence, and then it was good.
You guys know Neil P because he was on like a couple episodes ago. Yeah. But he was at my house when they were on tour, and we were playing Castlevania 2, Simon's Quest. And I had my NES set up, and it was like all ghetto, and I was like, listen, like you can play, but don't pull the controller or anything. You'll ruin the whole game. So he played for, I don't know, like 2 hours, and then like he got like the blue orb or some shit and got excited and pulled the controller, and then just walked around my house for like an hour. Just like, I got the blue orb. I got the blue orb. You're just freaking out. It was great. I mean, it was horrible then, but it was great now.
I can see exactly that happening. I can picture Neil doing that.
My worst, I got Rock Band 4 for like right when it came out, and with the new game, like and with my TV at the time, the calibration was just awful. And I was playing some online contests and stuff where it was like, I could win some money online if I wanted to. Or and at the time I was really fucking good at this game. And I just could not get like the drop, like the calibration would not work on my TV. And I was playing, what was I playing? I was playing I can't even remember what song it was. Smell That Smell by Leonard Skinner. And I know I can full combo it today. It's not a hard song. I'm really good on guitar on that song. But at the time, my TV just would not let me calibrate to the point where it made sense when you're playing the fucking song. And I sat there for probably like 24 hours calibrating and recalibrating this fucking TV and screaming every time I missed a note. Like I got to the end of like 2 days, like where I was like, I can full combo this. And I'm screaming at the TV and I'm slamming my fucking guitar on my couch just in absolute rage. And it's the last time that I was actually this mad at a video game.
Well, man. Well, Tyler's guitar controller gently weeps.
I literally had 2 old laptops that like were just totally broken, and I don't have them anymore because I just took them and smashed them to pieces when I would rage. I had a couple of smash tops.
That's fair, dude. A friend of mine, one of his laptops died on him, and he got so mad he recorded himself. He took it over to the sink, dumped a whole 2-liter on it, and then just ripped it in half with his bare hands and threw it in his trash.
Yeah, I have never been an outward rage. Well, I shouldn't say never, but I'm not an outward rage guy. My things have stayed pretty much intact. I have not actually destroyed any of my my gear in a rage. But I do know that Jasmine can tell when I'm getting frustrated with a part in a game. Because when she's watching me play a game and I can feel myself getting frustrated, all of a sudden I'll start hearing her chuckle.
Well, you go into a new octave when you get pissed off. Heard you get pissed off. You do the same thing kind of that I do, where you're just like, no.
Yeah, I suppose Modem made an entire well, no, that was Fear though. Modem made an entire remix out of me getting scared in Outlast. So we have gotten to the end of the episode, which means it is time for us to answer a question asked to Reddit. At the end of his 4-year term, Trump goes on live TV and rips a mask off. Who/what has he been the whole time?
Puddle of mud.
God damn. Scott Stapp, and he just does a live rendition of With Arms Wide Open. Just to punctuate the end of his presidency. Make it that much worse.
A tiny dog in a man costume.
Snidely Whiplash.
That's getting closer to what I was thinking. Tiny dog and a man. That's closer.
Right. Like, I'm trying to think, at first my brain's going, Ted Nugent. No, because like he's not the rednecks whose support he has gained. He's just good at getting the support of rednecks. That doesn't make him the redneck.
It's just like when you have like a mask and you're gonna rip it off, like something more ridiculous has to be under that mask, and that's just really hard to come up with.
Yeah.
What if
He rips the mask off and collapses into a pile of spray-on bronzer.
My God, you're a horse.
It's a sentient blob of mayonnaise.
What if he is actually technically our first alien interaction? What if he is truly an alien? And that's why his...
Then we don't need to fund NASA anymore because space isn't worth it.
That's why... Yeah. But like, imagine that the tactics that they're testing only work on a portion of the population. And that's exactly what they're trying to do, is test out these tactics to keep, humanity placated or on one side or whatever. And so they're just testing those tactics before they can refine them so they can keep us all enslaved.
Just like that Simpsons Treehouse of Horror episode.
Yes.
Cool conspiracy theory, Ryan.
Don't blame me. I voted for Kodos.
I voted for the Lizard King. I figured the lizard men have a better idea for where our humanity should go. So.
Yeah, they're at least from here, you know?
Yeah, reptilians are at least Earthlings. Fuck.
Yeah.
I mean, like, I don't even get it anymore. The dude can't even like hold a sentence together. Like he like has gone like downhill from where he was already at before. It's crazy.
Yeah, it doesn't make any bit of sense to me at all. But then I realized that there are people who I don't know in the world or in the country. And that while my good fortune in encountering open-minded, thoughtful human beings is just exactly that. It's good fortune. And for every thoughtful, open-minded human being, there is probably half of an idiot out in the world somewhere.
I mean, like, we just live in a world where people think they know everything. Like, let's Google something and tell you, like, better than the medical professionals or anybody who's a specialist in any field. So,
yeah, the ending of expertise is probably the thing that I lament the most, and certainly not what I expected in the introduction of the internet. Like, I always thought that the internet would be this grand place where, okay, now all information is there. We can, eliminate poverty barriers by making knowledge of everything available to everyone. And that's a huge thing. Unfortunately, I didn't really think about the fact that like anyone can just say whatever the fuck they want. And all of a sudden they become truth tellers, which is not, we've got Alex Jones now and shit like that. Like, I didn't see that coming.
People are
we took those free games and now they took our freedom away.
Goddamn Epic Game Store, those fucking communists.
And on that note, thank you,
That's
everyone.
who's under the Trump mask.
Yes. On that note, thank you, everyone, for watching and or listening. We'll see you next week with a very, very special guest. Not to say that they're more special than chicken, but...
Oh, you're right. I'll be there.
Yeah, let me tell you something, brother. You load the podcast with the rocket fuel, and you start the Mega Powers, and you hit that subscribe button. Ooh, I'm not gonna rip my shirt because it's the only one I have right now. Subscribe.